Every month, Jessica pays the minimum payment on her credit card. Every month, the bank sends her a thank you letter. They never actually send the letter, but they should, because Jessica is doing exactly what the credit card was designed to make her do. And the amount of money she will hand to that bank over the next 10 years will make you cut up every card in your wallet. Let's run the real math. Let's set this up properly. Jessica has a $6,000 balance on her credit card. The interest rate is 22%. Her minimum payment is 2% of the balance or $25, whichever is greater. This month, her minimum payment is $120. She pays it. She feels responsible. She feels like she is handling her debt. She is not handling her debt. She is feeding it. Here is what most people do not understand about minimum payments. The minimum payment is not designed to help you pay off your debt. The minimum payment is designed to keep you in debt as long as possible while extracting the maximum amount of interest from you. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is the business model. Credit card companies make money from interest. The longer you carry a balance, the more interest you pay. The minimum payment is the mathematical sweet spot that keeps you paying forever without the balance ever feeling urgent enough to address aggressively. Let's look at what Jessica's minimum payment actually does to her balance. Her $6,000 balance at 22% annual interest accrues roughly $110 in interest in the first month. Her $120 minimum payment covers that $110 in interest first. Only $10 goes toward reducing the actual balance. $10 on a $6,000 debt. Her new balance after a full month of payments is $5,990. She paid $120. And her debt went down by $10. And here is the trap within the trap. As her balance decreases, her minimum payment decreases too, because the minimum is calculated as a percentage of the balance. A lower balance means a lower minimum payment. A lower minimum payment means even less going toward principal. The system is designed to slow down as you make progress. Just enough progress to feel like you are moving, not enough to ever actually finish. Let's run the full numbers. Jessica pays only the minimum payment every single month. No extra, just the minimum. How long does it take her to pay off the $6,000 balance? Not 3 years, not 5 years, not even 8 years. It takes her approximately 24 years and 7 months to pay off a $6,000 credit card balance, making only minimum payments. And the total amount she pays over that period is approximately $14,300 to $15,200. She borrowed $6,000. She paid back nearly $15,000. The bank collected $8,300 to $9,200 in pure interest from one credit card, from one balance, over less than 25 years. Now let's meet Marcus. Marcus has the same $6,000 balance at the same 22% interest rate, same starting point, same debt, but Marcus makes a different decision. Instead of paying the minimum, Marcus pays a fixed $300 every single month. $300 is not an extreme amount. It is roughly 5% of a $72,000 annual salary. It is the cost of a gym membership, 2 streaming services, and a few restaurant meals. Marcus pays off his $6,000 balance in approximately 24 months, 2 years. Not 24 years, 2 years. His total payments over that period are approximately $7,000 to $7,200. He paid roughly $1,000 to $1,200 in interest. Jessica paid $8,300 to $9,200 in interest on the same debt. Marcus paid $1,000 to $1,200. The difference between them is $7,100 to $8,000. From the same debt, from the same interest rate, from a $180 per month difference in payment. But here's where the story becomes genuinely painful. After Marcus pays off his debt in 2 years, he takes that $300 a month and redirects it into a total market index fund. He has 22 years and 7 months left before Jessica finally pays off her credit card. $300 a month invested at 10% average annual return for 22 years grows to approximately $290,000 to $320,000. Jessica, at year 24, has finally paid off her credit card. She has 0 debt. She also has 0 investments from that $120 a month she was paying. Her net position from this single debt decision over 24 years is approximately negative $15,000. She paid $15,000 to borrow $6,000. Marcus, at year 24, has zero debt and approximately $290,000 to $320,000 in investments. His net position from the same debt handled differently is approximately positive $290,000 to $320,000. The total gap between Jessica and Marcus from one credit card balance handled two different ways over 24 years is approximately $305,000 to $335,000. From a $6,000 credit card balance. From $180 a month in extra payments for 2 years. That is the true cost of the minimum payment. Now, let's talk about why the system works this way. Because understanding the mechanism makes it impossible to fall for it again. Credit card companies discovered decades ago that the psychological sweet spot for keeping customers in perpetual debt is a payment low enough to feel manageable, but high enough to feel like progress. The 2% minimum payment formula was not arrived at by accident. It was engineered. Consumer research showed that payments above 4% of the balance cause customers to pay off their cards too quickly. Payments below 1% cause customers to default too often. 2% was the perfect number, low enough to feel painless, high enough to avoid default, high enough to generate decades of interest income. Here is another mechanism most people never notice. Credit card statements are legally required to show you how long it will take to pay off your balance, making only minimum payments. This information is right there on your statement every single month. Most people never read it, and the credit card companies know most people never read it. So they put it in the smallest font, legally permissible, in the least prominent location on the page. The information is technically disclosed. It is just disclosed in a way designed to be ignored. Here is what you should actually do with this information. If you have credit card debt, the minimum payment is not a payment strategy. It is a trap dressed up as a payment strategy. The actual strategy depends on what other financial obligations you have. If you have no emergency fund, build a $1,000 starter emergency fund first. One unexpected expense without an emergency fund puts you right back on the credit card, erasing any progress you made. A $1,000 buffer breaks that cycle. Once the emergency fund exists, attack the credit card debt aggressively. Use the avalanche method. List all debts by interest rate highest to lowest. Pay minimums on everything. Throw every extra dollar at the highest interest rate debt first. 22% credit card debt is a guaranteed 22% return on every dollar you use to pay it down. No index fund can reliably beat a guaranteed 22% return. This is the one situation where paying off debt absolutely beats investing. If you have multiple credit cards, consider a balance transfer to a 0% introductory rate card. Many cards offer 12 to 21 months of zero interest on transferred balances. During that window, every single dollar of your payment goes directly to principal. Zero interest. The math changes dramatically. On a $6,000 balance with zero interest and $300 monthly payments, you are debt-free in 20 months. The balance transfer fee of 3% to 5% costs $180 to $300 once, versus $8,300 in interest over 24 years. The math makes itself. Jessica and Marcus both had the same debt. Neither of them chose to go into debt because they were irresponsible. Life happens. Medical bills happen. Job losses happen. Emergencies happen. The debt itself is not the trap. The minimum payment is the trap. And the trap was designed by people who spent billions of dollars figuring out exactly how to keep you in it as long as possible. The credit card company is not your financial partner. It is a business. And its business model depends on you believing that the minimum payment is a reasonable way to handle debt. It is not. It is the most expensive way to handle debt short of defaulting entirely. So the next time your credit card statement arrives and the minimum payment feels like enough, ask yourself one question. How much will I have paid in total by the time this balance reaches zero? Because that number is already printed on your statement. And if you have never looked at it, tonight might be the most valuable 10 seconds you spend with your finances all year.